My dear friend in Christ, Malcolm Muggeridge was a well-known author and a journalist, and he produced a television program in 1968 titled Something Beautiful for God. It was based on the life and works of Mother Teresa of Kolkata. Malcolm Muggeridge even interviewed Mother Teresa on many occasions. But most people considered Malcolm Muggeridge as very cynical and critical of religious faiths, beliefs, and systems and institutions. But years later again, Malcolm Muggeridge, on reflecting upon the life of Mother Teresa, embraced the church and was received into the church. My dear friend in Christ, God has His own mysterious ways of drawing us to Him. He can change the course of our life. He can change the path of our life. He can change our thinking in order to draw us to Him. Look at these two great saints of the church, St. Peter and St. Paul. St. Peter was a fisherman, but he had a very revolutionary mind. He did not want Jesus to be a Messiah who would suffer and die. He wanted Jesus to be a Messiah who would conquer and overthrow the Roman government. Jesus even scolded him and said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." What about St. Paul? St. Paul was on his way to Damascus to persecute the followers of Christ. But he was thrown off his horse and blinded, and he heard the Lord speak to him. The moment of his conversion, my friend. And St. Paul went on to become a preacher from being a persecutor. With great conviction, Peter and Paul proclaimed and bore witness to the Lord's word. My dear friend in Christ, sometimes we stick on to our own will, to our own path of life, to our own course of life, that we do not experience freedom, we do not experience redemption, we do not experience joy. And the Lord wants us to experience that freedom, that redemption, that joy, if only we surrender to His will. Sometimes the Lord can use people, He can use circumstances, He can use situations to reveal His will for us. And sometimes those situations and circumstances could be painful and terrible, maybe sickness, maybe disease, maybe suffering in different ways. But yet, if we tune our ears and our hearts to the Lord, He will reveal His will for us in our life. And unless we surrender to His will in all circumstances, in moments of joy, in moments of sorrow, you and I, my dear friend, can experience the grace of the Lord. St. Paul was so convinced, from being a persecutor to a preacher, he went on to say, "Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel. Cursed be me if I do not preach the gospel." And Peter, from denying Jesus 3 times, saying, "I do not even know who you are talking about," the same Peter, when he was to be crucified, he said, "Crucify me upside down." Such was their conviction, the conviction of St. Peter and Paul, from whom we can learn. May the Lord help each one of us to be faithful witnesses to Him in good times and in bad, and experience His grace, His joy, and redemption. May you have a good and godly day.